All right, hi there, and welcome back, all you beautiful, lovely people. Hope y'all are having an amazing day out there. I'm Jesus Aguilera here on my podcast. I have a couple people here from my class. We're in a certain teacher's class that I'm sure if you're watching this video, you know what the situation is, you know what happened, and we're just here to state our opinion on it and how it all went down. So to start off, do y'all think that he was Do y'all think that he was necessarily in the wrong, or was the student in the wrong, or who was the bad guy in the situation? What do y'all think?
Truthfully, we both think that like it goes both ways. He should have had a better, reaction to it comparing he's in a professional, status, And at the same time, I get it because there's a lot of us who do a lot of reckless things and, we act up a lot because, we still young, we still learning all that. So I feel like he should have been able to handle that a lot better, especially knowing that he has his own kid at home.
At the same time, he couldn't keep it in because he deals with it every day. So it's like he got nothing else to take it out on.
Yeah. I feel like, he was just, it was very unprofessional, but having to deal with kids 24/7, then one just be ultimately disrespectful. When the student could have just left. Yeah, but I think they're both wrong, but I'm more on the whose side I'm on?
Just say you're on the teacher side.
Yeah, I'm on the teacher side.
But see, me personally, I feel like he definitely could have handled it a lot better. I've heard, people say, but at the same time, all we really saw was a 30-second clip of him flipping out. Not exactly. We didn't even see like a 30-second clip. It was literally just a blimp of him like yelling, flipping out, flipping the desk, like losing the school. At first, I honestly thought it was his regular class because that's just his teaching style. Like he's just loud, and he's a cool dude, and he gets you into the actual like curriculum. But like as far as I'm concerned, I don't know what built up to it. I don't know what he has going on at his house. I don't know what he has going on personally. So at the same time, there could be a bunch of things that led up to that.
Outside of school that made him get to that point. Because think about it. All the kid really did was be on his phone and argue a little bit. You know how usually when people get on his phone and argue, we usually don't really get quick to be mad. That's why it's like it had to be something out, like outside of school, at home, or whatever it is.
They see the sign sitting right there. Like you can't bring your phone in here. You know that. I just feel like he could have took it in a different direction. He should never. I feel like he should never body shame the person. That's where I feel like he went wrong at. You should never body shame nobody. Then I seen somebody he said he was traumatized because of that or something, which I don't believe it. Like you can't be traumatized because somebody. Exactly, you can't. It's not possible. But yeah, I feel like they both in the wrong though. Yeah,
see, I'm gonna be honest. I don't want to go like out on a whim and just assume that he's got something going on. But to me, it really sounds like he's got something going on at home because we see him all the time in school. We see him all the time in class, and he deals with the same thing all the time. Put your phone away. Put your phone away. Put your phone away. And they usually ignore him, right? But like every single time we see him, slowly building up, just kind of lets it go, but gets annoyed at it, right? But like this time, it was obvious that he was mad. Like it really is what it was. And I'm not sure if it was a student. I'm not sure if it was that situation. I'm not sure if he has anything going on. Because I had to have some like personal conversation with the man. And the man told me like the one thing that he really truly does hate in this world is ignorance. He hates it when like someone just doesn't listen.
Yeah. Truthfully, like even myself, like there's been times where like I hang around people my age. Like that's why usually when you see me, I be by myself with my headphones. But like they real ignorant. Nobody want to learn, nobody want to do nothing. Everybody want to sit here and just be lazy, reckless, do whatever. They just want to be lit, Mm-hmm. So when it comes to stuff like this, where it's like, okay, you joined a class where we're talking about serious things and we're in, big events that happen within ancestors and all that stuff right there, like origins pretty much. Like you can't really be that ignorant on that because it's like that's not only just things in the past, that's also social stuff as well to be moving forward with, to help you understand like what's up with your people, So it's like, dang.
I don't know, but like, I just think it's a wild situation. Me personally, I'm mad at the kid that got him in trouble. Like out of all teachers, out of all people, you have to do the one guy like actually cares about teaching, or like we have plenty of teachers that care about teaching, but that man, he preached. That's what I'll tell anybody that asks me about his class. He wasn't just a teacher. He'd sit here and he'd preach to you about history. He'd sit here and he like, were y'all ever in his world history class? No. Yeah, his world history class, he like taught World War, I think it was World War One. Taught it as a gang battle because it's really what it was. It was like some person got assassinated and then everybody else started jumping in and then everybody else started jumping in and that's how it escalated. And that's basically how he touched it. He like tried to connect with the students. He cared about the students and he like taught us. And so I think that's one of the biggest downfalls of our school system and like our students in general is that we don't care about learning a lot of the times. Like we come in here because we have a lot of stuff going on at home. We have a lot of stuff going on in our lives that a lot of times school is our break or school is our time to just chill out, zone out, put our headphones on and like not do anything, right? But the crazy part is like if you listen to this man, he will teach you a thing or two and you'll actually enjoy it. I don't know. What do y'all think he could have done differently to handle that situation better?
I think he could have just like still remained calm. If he really felt deep about it, he could have talked to the kid's parent or got him like outside of class, you know? Like, you know how teachers, when they get mad, they send emails to your parents or whatever, but like he start tripping out, throwing and kicking stuff. It's like, you know, he risked his own job and it sucks even more because it's like Cardi B got to the point where she posted something on her story about it. It's like, yeah, she was like, if you got the video, send it to me and I'll send you 1K.
That's wild.
Yes, if you search up right now, I am Cardi B on Instagram, it's on her story. And see, even then, like, it's all over Dallas News TV, all over, like, it's all over all of that. And it's like, dang, it sucks because he's such a good, like, teacher who actually cares. Because, you know, a lot of teachers, they kind of be half-assed a little bit, you know? They be like,
they just be here for
they be like, hey, like, you know, just pay attention, do this, but then they only tell you the assignment, make you continue with what you got going on. But it's like, he actually will sit here and make class entertaining, will speak to you about stuff. We even like, he even made fun of you before too. And he smiled. Like, teachers don't do that often. A lot of times they kind of just come in here with that little attitude and expect you just to be listening to them, you know? Which is the reason why a lot of us students don't respect teachers as it is, because if that's the kind of energy you're giving off, that's what you're gonna receive, you know? I feel like if school is a better environment for both, you know, both tables, I think school will go a lot more smoother, but stuff like this happens because of the fact of past events with teachers, past events with students. Like, you know, everybody has their issues and all. You know, it goes as a collective. You know, it's not just oh, he did this, she did that, or, you know, it's not really a pointed finger because everybody has a part to do in it. You know.
I think it also tends to bring us to the bigger question of like the internet and how that really like blew it out of proportion. Because I know when I first heard about it, like I heard about it in the class and I saw it on what was it? It was our drama page, right? And then out of nowhere, I think someone sent it into Dallas, Texas, right? And that's where it really blew up, which makes me like, to me that right there pissed me off, that alone. Because it's like, I get it happened in our school, I get it's a big deal, I get something that, you know, goes famous, but like, if you knew the man and if you cared about the man, why would you do something like that?
Yeah, he messed up his whole career. Like, that's not just a little joke thing, a little thing to do for fun. Like, this is livelihood we talking about. This is where he go to get money. You know what I'm saying? Like
what the teacher's like really passionate about.
Exactly. And like this where he be trying to get his money, where he help his kids eat. And you putting on the internet, you ruining his love. You ruining everything low key. And then now we gotta come to class, have subs every day, and it just be
Efficiently. So it's like all the subs and the assignments, we won't like understand it. Maybe our grades will get a little lower if we don't understand it. And then like, we don't got no way to ask for help, so it's like
Kind of just ruined it for everybody else, right? And see, one of the craziest parts to me is the fact that like, I forgot what I was gonna say. Lost my train of thought for a second. Let me catch it. Anybody else got anything to say real quick?
What's crazy? It's crazy because look, it even shows there's also stuff outside of school that brings in like that awareness of, or frustrations too. Cause I go in the comments like of the video, right? There's parents in there talking about some, oh, these raggedy ass kids, oh, these bad ass kids. You pointing a finger, but you're not trying to do nothing to solve it. Y'all wanna all say some stuff, y'all got something to say, but you're not gonna do nothing to help it though. You know, first thing first, I think we should change the school curriculum. We still learning stuff that isn't even that important no more.
Based off of Rockefellers.
That's what I'm saying. Like, we should do what we really need to do in our own country. Learn how to pay taxes, learn how to pay bills, learn how to put money towards something. But like, we over here doing stupid stuff like mathematics, learning what X does, learning about squares and triangles still. Like, that's what I'm saying. All that's stupid. Like, we need to learn how to use the money. We need to learn how to actually put stuff towards something. So when we get out of school, we're not just sitting here looking like bums. It's like, I think everything needs to be changed.
See, and it brings us to the bigger question of how outdated our school system is and how bad school is in general in America. Like, people say that we should be grateful, we should be happy for our blessing and our ability to come out here to learn, right? But at the same time, like, a lot of the stuff that we teach is either heavy propaganda. It's meant to give you one side of the story and make you think in a certain way, or it's not relative to your life, like you said. Like, one of the funny things is that I think I was talking to a math teacher one time, or an old math teacher here, and he was telling me about how the only reason they actually teach us math isn't because we have to learn math. It's because of brain development, and it helps us get down with like processing. Yeah. But at the same time, I feel like you get the same thing from any other form of learning, like, simple chess.
Simply just
Yeah.
Googling it, like, stuff like that. That's what I'm saying. Like, we need to just change everything, because even small things like that can be Googled. So if you're confused about something, I mean, plus you learn stuff every day through the internet, because you scrolling constantly, you seeing new facts, learning about celebrities. Even though, it ain't that important, you still learning stuff. So it's like, that's not a good excuse. It's something else other than that, which is the reason why teachers is getting stressed out to where they're doing stuff like this, which really makes you, like, question the nation, because, like, they the one who's making us go through all this, making us have to learn stuff like this, and making teachers have to put up with that. Even though they could change all that, because you got money to send people to wars, but they don't got money to change the school systems, which I find that crazy.
Not only that, but it also comes down to the two-sided road of, like, if you ask any student and you ask them how they have to learn or what they need to learn, they always say the same thing. I need a teacher that actually cares about what they're teaching. I need a teacher that's interactive. I need a teacher that gets me engaged. I need a teacher that gets involved, right? But at the same time, a lot of these students or a lot of these teachers that do act this way, they actually care about the students, and they care about them to the point that it, like, stresses them out on their daily life. Like, they'll be going home and they'll be thinking about how some student isn't doing the work, and it'll just piss them off. They'll be thinking about how he has a missing assignment, he has zeros, how I'm trying to get this student to learn this, but he just doesn't want to learn it. So it comes to a point of, like, at what point does a teacher start and stop caring about the student? At what point does that teacher's, like, personal relationship, like, with the student become actually personal and actually start to affect them? Because I used to have a teacher, came here, I think my freshman year, and he was a teacher and a coach, but he told me he straight up, like, had to leave school because it got to a point where he was having so much stress and anxiety from being a teacher that he had medical conditions, and he would, like, randomly pass out, and he randomly do stuff like that because he cared about his students. So it's like, it's messed up when you think about it, because it's like we say our whole school system's messed up, our whole curriculum, but it's kind of like everything, right? It's like, it's the mentality towards school, it's the school itself. I don't know. It's
everything. Like, that's what I'm saying, though. Like, if people actually taught things that we really needed in our life, people would actually feel like a need to be here. You ever realize, like, when you're talking to people about school, whatever it is, people like, most of the stuff we don't really need for real. They shouldn't feel like that if it was actually stuff that we need. You don't hear people say that about no cooking class, about no, what's that one class where they got you doing the firefighter stuff?
like,
I know what you're talking about. Like, you don't hear nobody saying nothing about that, because those are stuff that actually put you in good positions. But stuff like math, stuff like science, and all that, like, well, science could put you in a position if you really understand what it is, but even then, like, there should be different ways of teaching and different ways of actually handling these kind of, things to, like, talk about, Like, I feel like people should actually learn how to finance. I feel like a finance class should be just a basic class, not a extracurricular, Yeah. And I also feel like jobs should be on the thing, how to sign up for a job, how to maintain a job, how to do more than that. And I feel like driving should be installed within schools instead of having to be its own little thing. It's like, it makes stuff simpler.
And he's completely right. It honestly sounds like you're talking what your perfect school system would look. So I guess that's going to take us into our next topic. Does anybody have any opinions on what their perfect system would look like, or what any changes that you can make just like that in a snap of fingers to change the school system, make it better? What would those changes be? Anybody got any opinions on those? See, I personally feel like, as he's been stating, a lot of the stuff that we are learning is outdated. If you look at who created school or who funded school, it was the Rockefeller Foundation. And their whole goal was to create a new class of industrial workers, right? A new class of people that didn't necessarily think, just worked. That's why we're so regulated. That's why it's so set up and so strict. It's a way where you can only go to the restroom when you ask. Every single class period is in a certain way. You can only eat lunch whenever, you're allowed to, right?
You wanna know the crazy part about all that? It's actually illegal. Like, you're supposed to be able to go to the bathroom whenever you want. That's actually, like, something that's installed within the law. But yet we still do the exact opposite in every school. There's no getting away from that.
And see, this is where I like to say that, the doctor that was teaching our class, this is where he was one of the greatest teachers. Like, he didn't care if you went to the restroom. Before the EHOP pass got installed, which, is a whole nother thing, he used to straight up tell kids, like, hey, if you got to go to the restroom and I'm in the middle of teaching, just go. Like, don't raise your hand, just go. Make sure that you come back, like, within time, right? It's because he showed that, he trusted you. He cared enough about you. He had enough faith in you for you to just go use the restroom. He thought you were a mature individual, right? But at the same time, we do have people within the school that will take advantage of that and will literally like be gone for 30, 40, 50, 60 minutes, not be back within the day. And it's just like that's why we got the EHOP pass now. That's why we got all these different things installed. And it's like, it's a two-way road. If we want a better school system, we need better students. But if we need better students, we need better teachers. But if we need better teachers at the same time, we still need better students.
We need a better school system because overall that's everything.
It's a broken cycle.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, everything that's teach you, like, oh, you got a principal. She's mean, she's acts up, or she's, like, passive-aggressive, which that's not going to get you nowhere. A random person who's passive-aggressive, like, let's be honest, this class was mainly about, African-American background. So being another person who's just having to go through the motions to do what somebody else tells you, like, that's not going to do nothing except for bring aggression itself. So it's like, the whole school system needs to be changed from how authorities move and how they can speak to us and what they can tell us to do and what they can't. But at the same time, like, if you even look like outside of the school just for a second, like, look at the nation. Now we have to wear ID badges like strictly around our necks instead of being able to wear them on our pants or on our bags. But now we have to, like, some schools have to just strictly wear uniforms, because if you don't know who that is, because somebody might come in there and be somebody you might not expect, like a school shooter or somebody in there trying to sell drugs. Like, you never know what's up. But I also still feel like that's partially on the nation. Like, I don't know if you ever seen a snowfall. I almost said snowfall. I don't know if you ever seen that, but, they pretty much were the ones who brought drugs into America to distribute them for their war.
I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen it, but is it like is it based on like the war on drugs and the whole thing in like the 80s, 90s with the CIA and all that?
Yeah, it's back when the whole little crack deal was booming. Everybody used to sell drugs in like LA, California, places like that where they were like high on like population. But it's crazy because with that money, what they did was sit here and help with their wars and fund their wars, which makes it be like, okay, you're selecting where you're actually using the money for the things that you promised originally, which goes back to why I feel like we shouldn't have to be having to give money to the government. Yeah, they should be more of a service, like a country service, instead of what's it called? Dang, well, they give, like, when we have to give them money.
I got you. See, this is, I know exactly what you're talking about. This is something like an epiphany that hit me last year, and this is honestly why I started the podcast, because I realized that our government isn't a government. A government is meant to be for the people, and it's a national institution to help the people, right? Well, our government's more of a private business. It's only worried about making money and its economic gain, economic growth, right? If our government doesn't have money, what are they going to say? We're going to be in danger. We're at danger of getting invaded. We can't afford to, like, produce these weapons. We can't afford to protect ourselves. But at the same time, like, we shouldn't, like, it's kind of brainwashing, right? It's like we shouldn't have this false ideals that our government needs so much money to have so much war so it can go start war in other places, when in reality we have everything we need here within the country. This is why I honestly started this whole podcast because of that, because our government's like messed up. And I don't know, I think it comes down to like a two-way road of one thing that I like learned, I guess, is that a lot of the people here, have you ever read 1984 by George Orwell? Or anything by George Orwell? I heavily recommend him. He's this book writer. I actually recommend Animal Farm. It's like a really short book about animals, right? Basically, the whole basis of the book is that these animals take over a farm. They end up killing their farm owner, and like the pigs. Let me think. It was the pigs were the smartest ones, right? Pigs are smart animals. Under that were the dogs, then the horses, then the sheep, then what else? Forgot what else. I think it might have been, that's it, right? Well, the pigs end up getting rid of the owner, right? And they writ like 7 rules of human nature that, we can never break these rules. We can never be like humans and suppress one another, right? Well, what ends up happening is throughout the book, you start realizing that the pigs are really suppressing all the other animals, and all the other people, or all the other animals like sheep, horses, all these big, strong animals or good helping hands are just following along with the pigs. And the pigs are basically doing the same thing that the farm owner was doing, but not to the rest of the animals. So it raises the question of people are always going to herd together, right?
Nah, that does make sense, because look, like back in like your history class, they told you about like how the American, like the people who actually came here and took away like many lives of Native Americans, right? We hear that, but like where they came from, there was kings and queens, who like were just really like they were real tyrants, and they come back and now they do the same thing here. So that story low-key makes a lot of sense, which like when you bring it up like that.
Yeah, definitely recommend the book. It's honestly one of my favorites because it's about little animals that basically create a government and then ruin it within themselves. But yeah, it's the fact that we're stuck in this cycle of, hey, let's fix our government, let's get rid of this tyranny, let's get rid of this inequality, and yet it comes down to the same circle, right? We got rid of a king, we instituted a president, a constitution, all these different things. Yet we still have a hierarchical system where we have people outside, sleeping on the streets. We still have people that are like straight up under bridges. We have people that are heavily addicted to drugs like crack, and yet our government's over here in Palestine or in Israel and Ukraine. They're ignoring what happened in Hawaii a couple months ago. Like, I'm not sure if y'all know. You don't remember what happened in Hawaii? The big. Y'all don't remember that? They had a massive fire, it was a couple months ago, and I think it's the whole island. Yeah, and y'all want to hear the crazy part about that? I'm pretty sure our government sent in total $5 million to Hawaii to help the people and the natives rebuild their land.
That's its own little thing though. Like, why they only getting $5 million? That's all property though.
Look at the difference between the money that we sent to Hawaii compared to the money that we've been sending to Ukraine and Israel. These are foreign nations that aren't a part of the United States, aren't part of our Constitution. And it's insane because when you look at the demographic plan, or you get to become a conspiracy theorist a bit, you start talking to, or you start listening to people that will state things like, if you look at what happened to Hawaii, all this land got burned down, right? All the natives, they were refusing to sell this land. People kept trying to buy it from under them, but they're like, no, this is our land, right? We're here before y'all came, right? Well, basically what happens after Hawaii is a bunch of corporations, a bunch of businesses, a bunch of rich people go there, under them, offer them cents on the dollar, offer them barely anything for their home or their land or property since it's burnt down, and a lot of them are forced to sell it because they don't even have enough money to go to a hotel. The government, I'm pretty sure, straight up only gave about $300 for people to go to a hotel and go to a different residency and be able to live because their house got burned down, which $300 ain't much.
See, that really makes you wonder, what exactly are they putting the money to? Where's the money going that we're paying taxes for? Even though we're paying taxes to help other countries, help ourselves, help not just our own places, to worry about the world issues. That's why we actually had the World Trade Center.
You got something to say, Franklin?
No, I forgot what I was saying.
No, you good. But see, it gets us to this big question of what is the purpose of our country and what are we doing as a nation if all we're doing is really supporting all these foreign nations and not necessarily taking care of our people? What is our government even here for? And I like to go around and interview random people and just talk to random people on the streets, right? Well, I interviewed this one guy. He was a little bit out of it on drugs or something like that. He was a little brain fried. That's what he was. But we were talking about.
My bad for cutting you off. But most of the time, the people who really be on drugs, they be speaking the facts. They know more than sober people.
And that's what I'm about to get into. This man gave me a quote that to this day I'll still quote it, and it still shocks me to the core, because he said that he stated that there were 3 nations or states within a state, right? I'm not sure if y'all know what a state is, but a state is anything that's considered a or its own entity. Texas is a state, but the United States is a state too, right? Well, basically, he said that the 3 were London, the Vatican, and Washington, D.C. And what he said is that the Vatican handles religion, that London handles the banking, and then that Washington, D.C. handles the manpower. And to me, I started thinking about that, and I started going into depth about it and getting into it. And to me, it kind of made sense. Because what do they always say? That religion is how you control people. That if you look throughout history, that's how they used to control people. Yeah.
Like how the teacher said. When he taught us, they used to sit here and put people down just so they can have control over other people.
They straight up used to preach the Bible to slaves to tell them that they were in their place and that they deserved to be slaves. So, religion controls people, and the Vatican takes care of that, right? So to me, that just made sense, and that checked off, right? And then he talked about London and how London's a bank. If you look at who actually funded the startup of the American economy and who actually where our banks are set up, who our federal, I forgot what it's called, the Federal Bureau of Banks, something like that. Who that actually is, it's all coming from London. Our banking is straight up JP Morgan, Rockefellers, all these, famous rich people that reside in London, right? These European nations. And then yet the manpower is still in Washington, D.C. So I started thinking about this, and this is where it hit me deep. If you think about it, we all work and we all pay like 30 to 40% of our income into taxes nowadays, right? A good chunk of our money goes straight back into taxes, right? Well, where is that money going nowadays? It's going to the rest of the world. It's not actually like coming to America. It's not actually helping America. It's not actually benefiting in America. It's creating more of a free enterprise economic system in like Israel. Like I know I heard this one crazy theory that kind of caught me off guard. And it was talking about how y'all know there's like this, I forgot what it's called. It's like a river by Gaza. It's one of the biggest rivers that like basically... it is the Red River. Thank you. Yeah. The Red River. It's one of the biggest rivers used to like send goods, right? And the biggest issue is that America actually doesn't like this because I'm pretty sure I forgot what country, but one of the countries in the Middle East has fully control of it, and they like basically have full control of what goes through there. And America doesn't like that because they're getting taxed on that, right? Well, the theory goes that they're actually sitting here trying to get rid of, they're actually trying to build a new kind of like waterway through Israel to create a second river so they can bypass that standard of getting taxed by a foreign country so the UN and American nations can use that river freely and, not trip about that. And that's the whole theory on the war. Anybody got any opinions on that?
But see, that goes back to like, 9/11, the whole world trade thing. People actually think that America has something to do with that, like there was no real terrorists. Which, that makes a lot of sense because think about it. That helped, helping our country give money to other places where we actually owed them that money, or even just helping with other things like making sure certain countries got with like resources, whatever they need, right? But then all of a sudden that blows up, like, Yeah.
It's really weird, and especially whenever you look at things like conspiracy theories will call out something like 9/11, right? Well, whenever you look at the old videos, it kind of starts to make sense. Like people straight up tell you, they have old videos from people within New York that stated it did not look like a plane hit. It looked like a demolition. If you ever watch the videos, you see duh, 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 and it drops, right? Then if you look at what happens afterwards, who takes presidency or who gets reelected that year? George W. Bush, right? And he wasn't actually going to get reelected. They said that he was actually unfavorable to get reelected, but he stated that he would, take care of terrorism and started the war on terrorism, right? Well, if you look at what happens after that, we go into, I want to say it was Iraq, right? Was it Iraq? Yeah, because
it was Iraq.
It was Iraq because Saddam was in Afghanistan, right? Yeah. Well, we go into Iraq looking we go into Iraq looking for Osama bin Laden, right? Well, he was never in there. And if you look at what happens, we end up taking the tyrant leader, what was his name? Saddam Hussein. We end up taking him out of Iraq. And what happens to Iraq? It becomes a literal guerrilla warfare where people are just doing whatever they want to do because it's a country of a bunch of different nationalities of people that do not agree with each other. Like, just imagine this. We're all sitting in a room. We're all different. We all have different colors, different beliefs, right? Well, imagine because I didn't agree with you, I literally couldn't be in the same room with you. At the sight of you, I'd want to resort to physical violence or whipping out a weapon and try to take your life because you have different beliefs from me. That's literally what Iraq was without Saddam Hussein. So it's like you got it.
But see, that also goes back to like the world wants to be, not the world. America wants to be the ruling country in the whole world, the richest country, the strongest country. So if it goes against any other country like Russia or China or anything else other than some that's on our side already, they want to sit here and ruin any chance that they have to overpower us, any chance they have to spread actual peace, other than we can control what you say as long as it ain't goes with our morals, because we know who's really controlling everything. Now let's be honest.
Yeah, see, and this is where people will call you crazy for saying that there's such thing as a bourgeoisie or Illuminati out there, but at the same time, like, let me ask you this. If you don't agree with something that our government did, if we had a second version of Vietnam, or if we had something like that, could we really necessarily stop that? Like, at all? If our government straight up looked at us and said, hey, we're going to war, we're going to do this, we don't care what you think, we're going to take care of this. Could we really do anything to, like, say, hey, no, right? And at the end of the day, it comes, like, down to the question of, like he said, we're trying to be the perfect nation. We're trying to, be the world's greatest powerhouse. Yet at the same time, we have so much internal conflict and internal problems. And yet the only person that's really reaping benefit from the growth of America has been Europe. Like, look at Europe compared to America. Look at the difference between countries like Britain, France, the EU, all these different organizations, right? Well, they have, poverty, but at the same time, talk to anybody within that nation, and they'll tell you life is a lot better there. Like, they'll tell you they're grateful to be there. They'll tell you, like, yet you talk to any American will argue the fact that they're happy about being in America. Americans are the most unpatriotic, citizens out there. And I think it's because we have such a mistrust in our government, and we have such a, we don't believe in our government. We have such a false ideology of, like, our values and what is important.
Yeah, look at it, like, they tax everything under the sun. They tax you for a snack. They tax you for some gas. They tax you for every little thing that you get money for. They tax this man's shoes, even though it's not even made in America. It's like, man, that's the crazy part.
And see, that's another thing that hit me hard a couple months ago. You know how they say we have the freedom and liberty to do whatever we want, or like buy from whoever we want, or support whoever we want. Whenever you really start going into depth, you realize that the people at the very top are the same people. Nike's and Adidas, two different companies competing, right? They're still getting their shoes produced by the same manufacturers. They're still getting the same funding from the same stockholders. They're still getting, everything is basically somebody at the top is making money from both of those countries, right? And so it brought me to this question of, like, hey, I want to be a better person. What if I don't want to support sweatshop workers? I want to be a better person. What if I don't want to, work or deal with people that, use child labor, things like that, right? Well, who am I going to go to within America to do that? Because everything in America is privately owned and is corporately owned. And if you do want to go to someone, or like if you do want to get, like, for example, organic food, right? Everybody knows organic food is better. It's better for you. It's a lot healthier. It's a lot tastier. Like, if you ever been to a farmer's market and tried that fruit, it's 1,000 times better than any store-bought fruit, right? Why can't we just go out and get organic fruit? Because there are no farmers markets nearby, right? And why aren't there many farmers markets nearby? Because farming isn't a big money job anymore. Because people aren't making a lot of money on farming anymore, and farming has become an industrialized corporation within itself of, hey, your fruit has to look a certain way. Your fruit has to have something in it. Your fruit has to, meet these regulations for me to be able to sell it for you. It's the fact that no matter which way you look in American business, there's always a middleman in there, right? Anybody got any opinions on that? No. See, and for me, it's just, it's hard to, like, understand all these things and kind of, like, get along with it. And that's honestly why I started this podcast, to find a good middle ground and find, like, what the idea of peace is, what the idea of all these different things is. Like, in y'all's opinion, what is a free nation? What is a truly free nation?
A free nation where you can freely speak on what you got going on, or where you don't got to sit here and overwork yourself when there's something deeper going on within your family, within yourself. Like, you ever realize, like, a lot of people actually have to work until they die, even when they're, like, over the age of 80. Like, even if you get retired, you still got to get another job, because it doesn't truly pay for everything that you need, like bills, food, stuff like that. So just because you got retired, you spent your time, your whole life working, you still going to have to work even after that, because how else you going to get your money? How you going to pay bills? How you going to get everything that you need, like food, clothes? Like, they kind of control you on that kind of stuff. They make sure that you work forever instead of actually being able to make sure that you can live the rest of your life after you've served your time and your labor. Like, they make you work forever pretty much. And it's like, I feel like if this was a free nation where, as they preach it so much, people would actually be able to stop working at the proper age, and they would be able to live a peaceful life for the rest of their life without worrying about bills, without worrying about any of that, because the government would pay for that like they promised they would,
And see, the argument that people would make to counter against that would be like, where's the funding for that going to come in? Where's the food going to come in for those people? Who's going to feed the old people? If the old people aren't contributing something to society, then why should we help them, right? Well, my counter argument is always going to be like, we have an abundance of food within this country. Not only that, we have an abundance of free land. Like, I'm not sure if you ever look at America through, like, Google Maps or Google Earth or something like that. If you look through our plains, there is nothing there. It's literally nothing. It's just being wasted, like, throughout over time. So yeah, I agree with that. I think that definitely a free nation would truly be able to have a true retirement age where, people could go out and people could, legit retire, like, not be tripping about making food, not be tripping about any of these things. And okay, so if we're gonna have a truly free nation, then what laws would we have set up for that? What do y'all think would be a right law?
I feel like the right law would be is everybody who's over the age of 20 and actually putting in effort into, like, big corporations, they should get paid more to the point where they can actually put money into real things like, like farmers markets. Like how you said, we can put money in the farmers markets, actually expand them, and we can actually maybe go all around the world instead. And everything that's actually true from real foods all the way down to religion. Like, we have actual books on those instead of being corrupted by people who want to control that, But also another law that I make is you can't tax everything, because sometimes it's like, okay, you look at things like, nah, this is just a waste of money. Why I go buy a bag of chips? Why is it $4 when it should really be just like $2? A little bit less. It's gonna be gone immediately.
Juices used to be 50 cents. Candy used to be like 10 cents.
Man, yeah.
You have to pay like land and stuff back in the days, and now like you have to pay all this money for land. I thought everything was free. Everything was supposed to be free. Why are we paying this much for land when it's supposed to be free?
And you want to hear something crazy about that? You know how we took the land from the Native Americans, right? Well, the Native Americans, whenever the Louisiana or was it the Louisiana? No, it wasn't. I forgot what purchase it was, but whenever America bought some land from Native Americans, the Native Americans took it as a joke. They laughed at the Europeans' face because they didn't believe in owning land. They didn't believe that you could own anything. They believed that the land was there for them to survive off of, but they didn't own the land. So whenever they came up to them, they're like, "We'll offer you this much money for the land," right? They laughed at them like, "All right, do you want air? Do you want water?"
They made their own weapons. They made their own food and their own clothes. Like, everything they made was organic. They didn't need no money to give them what they needed because everything that they knew was within themselves.
See how Dr. Bradshaw. Oh Lord. Y'all know how he said, like, when he was getting into how they was enslaving the natives and stuff, like, after taking all their land and stuff, like, now that y'all speaking about this, like, I'm really, getting into that.
Yeah. See, and this is why I say, history is honestly something that I know it's hard for a lot of people to get into, and it's not that interesting sometimes. But hey, when you get into it, it can get interesting. And whenever you start picturing it the way you want to picture it, because I say if you can picture the way a story went in your head, it's however you want it to go, right? Like, nobody was there. Nobody can tell you this is how it went. Nobody can tell you this is exactly what he said because nobody was there at the end of the day. So you can have your own personal beliefs on how history went, right? But a quote some guy gave me one time in the streets, he said, if man does not learn from his mistakes, man has no future. Basically meaning that we have to learn from our history, because if we don't learn from our history, we're down to commit the same mistakes, right? But back to what laws we would enforce. See, me, I'm a bit of a socialist guy. I believe that free enterprise and the free economy of America is amazing up to a certain extent, because everybody says that America's a land of opportunity. Anybody can get rich here, right?
But they don't offer real opportunities, though. That's what I'm saying. For people like, minorities or people of color or even women, sometimes, they don't even give real opportunities. Like, if that was the case, me and my mom, we'd be living in a crazy house. I live with just my mom. So she does all the work, pays all the bills and all that. Why doesn't she have a real opportunity? Why isn't America helping her with this? They give her, a yearly check? Stimulus check that only lasts a month, because they up every price of the housing market. So I don't live in no house. I live in an apartment.
Bills and stuff. All of that money is going to bills.
See, and this is where I say it gets scary, because like that guy said, DC is the manpower, America is the manpower. So at the end of the day, if you want to think about it the way that he was thinking about it, 20, 30 years from now, if we truly have no freedom, all we're going to be is a class of industrial workers that are working for the government and are working to support everybody else.
Y'all, I got a question though. What do y'all think the laws are for real?
To control. Laws to control, keep people in the restrictions of America, or as my people say, the white man. They want to control everything, like how it's been for the past thousands of years. You can't even say 100 no more. It's been thousands of years. They've been doing this, taking land.
They don't want y'all to know, all that hidden stuff. I'm not gonna lie, with the Bible and stuff, y'all know how all of that was man-made. Back in the slavery days, they had them writing all that stuff. All of that stuff is man-made.
And see, she's completely right. This is one of our biggest issues with religion within itself too, the fact that everything is man-made. And like he said, like his people would say, the white man, right, the white suppressor, like my ancestors would say. But see, me, I don't like to state that argument or state that statement, just simply for the fact that if you told that to a white person that has gone through suffering, has gone through, poverty, or has experienced some form of lower class of life, that's disrespectful to them, because that's like you're telling them that their suffering doesn't mean anything, right?
But see, that's why it goes back to like when we say white man, it's not to just like a regular white person. We say white man as people who get money, people who've been all the way at the top of these crazy corporations, people like presidents, people like, what's it called? The people who actually make the laws.
I call them white kings.
Yeah,
That's what they are.
Yeah.
If you look at history, that's what they. If you look at history, that's what they used to be called in Europe. The king, our nobles, the royal family, the rich people, everybody that controlled everything. Well, nowadays, if you ask yourself who that is, it's all the rich people, the rich white people at the very top. And even then, sure, we have rich minorities, but what tends to happen when a minority becomes rich? You got it.
He gets monetized. Like everything that he says gets, canceled. Can't say whatever he want to say, because if he does, he loses the money. Then he goes back to being just a regular black person or a regular minority who came in from Mexico or anybody else who actually has to work for their money.
He's exactly right, and it becomes a thing of like any person in this world that wants to do good or wants to make a change or wants to actually do something can't necessarily do it, because the second they start taking steps towards doing it, what happens? Their money starts going away. People stop supporting them. They start saying, "Oh, I don't like what you did."
And then we have another situation just like the teacher where they spaz out and then they lose their job, and now they have to find another one where they ain't even gonna get as much money as they did. And even when even the job they had wasn't even giving them enough money. They had to have other factors giving them more money than we actually do.
And not only that, but think about what else happens whenever a minority gains money. They completely become this. They get this mindset of me. They get this, like, I forgot what it's called, but it's like this individualistic, or what was it?
It's like a god complex almost.
Yeah, it's like a god complex or individualistic mindset of, hey, I have money, you don't, so I'm better than you, right? We're the same color, we're the same race. Well, I'm not the same as you. I have money, and this is where, like, I got to this point last year where I realized that the best way to control people is through separation. I like to call it segregation or suppression through suppression through separation. Yeah, there we go. But yeah, it's basically whenever, like, politics, right? For example, we have a country that has two main political parties, Democrats and Republicans, right? Well, let's say a Democrat starts arguing with a Republican, right? Well, what's going to happen? Are they going to come to a middle term? Are they going to meet a middle ground? No, they're just going to walk away from each other and say, screw you, I'm going to go over here with these other Republicans, right? I'm going to go over here with these other Democrats. And what happens is that whoever, like, is actually at the top, or whoever they're actually arguing about, or whoever is actually causing the problem, they never, get they never get a form of reformation. They never, like, actually face punishment for their crimes. They're just sitting there like, it's kind of like a puppet master, right? So if you look at, like, even around this school, just take a look at inside the cafeteria and just look at who's sitting with each other. It's all basically based on race, based on color, based on, not only that, but, like, interests. Like, sure, like, look at majority. I used to be on the basketball team. Whenever I was on the basketball team, I'm pretty sure I was the only Mexican kid on there, and I'm pretty sure we had, like, 2 other white kids. But I didn't care, man. Like, to me, they're my brothers. We're hoopers. Like, we finna go hoop, right? Yeah, for real. That's really what it's about. But, like, at the same time, look around the school and you'll see everybody is divided, and the only time you really see a mixing of people is whenever they have a common interest, like a sport. Like, if nobody's playing a sport, they're really going to hang around people, like-minded people that have the same mentality, people that have the same, goals and pursuits, right?
But see, that's also, like, a people issue that we have, too. A lot of people don't open their minds. Like, me, like, it's crazy because I'm not even talking to no black girl. Like, the girl I'm with, she Puerto Rican.
Respect, man.
So it's like, people like to sit here and judge from afar when they truly don't know somebody, where they feel a type of way. Like, I remember back when me and her first got together, I couldn't even hug her for real in public, because as soon as I would, eyes would shift over. Everybody staring. The dreadhead with the girl who looked white. So it's like, that's the issue. We have so much separation over small things like who you talk to or what religion you have. Like, I feel like even like people who are like into Satanism, like me, I ain't into that. I'm a Christian, but at the same time, I'm not gonna sit here and put you down for that.
We can talk about
exactly. Like how God said, love thy neighbor. He said that himself. So it's like, you sitting here hating on somebody because of their small beliefs or who they talk to or how they dress or what they're interested in. But truth is, we more than that. Because at the end of the day, that can be a person that can save your life one day. That can be a person that can help you with bills one day, who can be the next president. You never know. Like, all of us can be people that can help each other. That's what we're really made for. That's why we have so many of us. And that's why we can reproduce the way we can. That's really what life is about. Being with each other, no matter what what it is. But see, the nation don't make that easy because they control everything. They control the media. That's why they got females listening to people like Sexy Red, where they want to just sit here and do what they want to do. Then they got dudes. But see, look, then they got dudes listening to people who say like, oh, I get money, I get bitches. Oh, F this girl, F this. Like, it's always hate, And that's why, like, hip-hop is starting to fall down. People are starting to listen to more, rock, more, Indian music. Exactly. Nobody's starting listening to all that new stuff no more because everything sounds the same. People over here have the same issues, have the same, like, nobody cares no more. Exactly.
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead. And then y'all then that's why this generation so messed up. Then you got all these influencers. They not teaching them nothing. And then y'all watching all of this is brainwashing y'all. Y'all just sit in the bed and watch all this stupid stuff when y'all could be getting stuff done, really.
That goes back to everything that we've been saying too, because it's like people are getting controlled. And craziest part is though, that all goes back to our teacher as well, because he can't freely say what he wants to the students. Be like, hey, like, I ain't gonna lie, like, y'all pushing it, y'all getting on my nerves, y'all doing this, because as soon as you do, now parents gonna have an issue because they can say, oh, you hurt my child's feelings, now you have to lose your job. Oh, you had an outburst and you couldn't sit here and explain how you felt to this student, because if you did, now you're compromising everything that you're going through to my child who doesn't need to hear that. You're distracting them from their education. Even though, truthfully, somebody telling you something like that isn't going to do necessarily anything to you unless you have something wrong with your brain, But I feel like we just need to work together as not only a school but a nation and band in with everybody, not just people who we find interesting, not just people who we think look good. We need to stop getting everybody their own little progressions of their own and actually make progressions as a nation,
Yes, sir. And on that note, I think we're gonna go ahead and end it. I can go ahead. Forgot what I was gonna say. I was gonna say race. I'll end it on this note. Just remember, race is socially constructed. There is no such thing as race. You cut the blood, at the end of the day, it's gonna be red. We all still people. But yeah, this was Jesus Aguilera doing a podcast on a situation that happened in class. Thank you to everybody for joining us, and thank you for everybody for attending this. I'd say it went great.